I'm not perfect, believe that, but I showed I can lead that. I'm a world champion, baby, I bet I can breed that. Hey, I'm a world champion, baby, I bet I can breed.
Welcome to the I Dream of Speaking podcast. My name is Ramona J. Smith. I am the 2018 World Champion of Public Speaking, and I am your host for the I Dream of Speaking podcast, where I'm here to help you find your voice, shine brighter, dream bigger, and speak louder. The I Dream of Speaking podcast is all about mastering the art of public speaking, sharing our dreams and aspirations as speakers, and living confidently so that we feel good both on and off the stage. Today is episode 1. Yay! We did it. We are doing it. My theme for 2024 is do it and do it ugly. No matter how it looks right now, it's going to blossom. It's going to grow. So I am hoping that you stay with me. You stick around. You help me to get better, to improve. If you have any tips, tricks, best practices, strategies to improve, please let me know. I am open to constructive criticism and feedback. I want this to be an enjoyable experience for you. If you have some knowledge that I do not know, if you see something that I don't see, please feel free to leave me a comment, send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram at RamonaJSmith1. Visit my website and leave a comment, RamonaJSmith.com. You can find me on Facebook, Ramona J. Smith, LinkedIn, Ramona J. Smith, or just Google Ramona J. Smith and all those things will pop up. This is for the dreamers. This is for the speakers. I would like for all of us to learn and grow together. And I hope this inspires you wherever you are, because I know it's ugly, but baby, it's not that ugly, okay? It's not that ugly and it's not that bad. It is just, it's a baby and we have to slow walk it, but I would rather do it and improve than spend all the time in my head planning and improving and it never gets done. So have patience with me, have understanding with me, have grace and kindness with me, be gentle with me. I'm not a tech person, honey. It doesn't say 2018 tech champion. It's world champion of public speaking. I can speak, honey. I can speak, inspire, motivate. When it comes to this production and this sound and this technology, that is not my cup of tea. But for those of you who see something that I don't see, please feel free to let me know and let us grow together. On episode 1, naturally, I'm going to introduce myself, tell you a little bit about my story. Some people are like, what is a world champion and how do you become one? I will explain that, and I'll touch on kind of the basics of public speaking and give you my definition, my thoughts on public speaking, and talk about why communication is important and how you can become a better public speaker. Let's start with 2018. I was speaking much longer than 2018. I did not just start speaking in 2018. That is when the world found out about who Ramona J. Smith is. I started my speaking journey heavily in 2011, but I have been doing poetry and drama and arts and choir and all types of performing arts before I knew that public speaking was a real profession. I had no idea it was a real profession. I joined an organization called Toastmasters International, and that is a nonprofit organization that helps people become better speakers and better leaders. Every year, Toastmasters has an international speech contest. During this international speech contest, there are competitors from all over the world. There are about 30,000, 40,000 probably by now participants every single year, and they compete against their club members, their area members, their division members, their district members, and it's kind of a process of elimination. You keep winning, and every time you win, you compete against the other people who won, and it goes on and on and on and on until it reaches the top 10 speakers from all around the world, top 9, top 10, and then they all compete against each other, and the number one speaker out of that group of all the top speakers in the world then takes the title for that year. So out of about 30,000 plus people in 2011, I was the number one speaker out of that group of 30,000 participants, which is major. That's amazing when you can really connect constantly and get your content out and deliver these speeches that continue to wow audiences in each different cohort. That is amazing. That's an amazing feat. And anyone who's ever done it, shout out to all the world champions from 1938 maybe, or 1970, something. It's been going on for a while. So shout out to all the world champions of public speaking from 2023 to when the contest first started back in the maybe mid 1900s. It's been going on for a long time. And it is no easy feat, and we do not take it lightly. It is something that will change your life if you let it. And this is how that story goes for me. I competed at the club level. The club level is maybe it's usually about 2 or 3 people depending on how big your club is. So you compete against that person. I competed against that person or those couple of people, and naturally you win, you go to the next level. The area level is all the people who won in all the different clubs. So at the area level, there could be maybe between 7, 8, 9. It really depends on how big your district is. I'm in District 56. That's a pretty big district. And I believe at the area contest, there may have been 8 or 9 contestants. I don't remember. It was 6 years ago. I don't remember, but there were a few of us there. And then when you win at that level, you go to the division level. So the division level is all the winners of the people in the area. And then from there you compete and you win. So I'm winning at all these levels. And in 2018, when I became the world champion of public speaking, it really changed my life. Let me go back and simplify, because I may be kind of all over the place and you guys are like, what is she talking about? In order for you to become a world champion of public speaking, you must be a member of Toastmasters. You must be a member in good standing with Toastmasters, and you must compete in the international speech contest. Once you do all those things, you compete and you start to win. Every level you win, you keep competing, you keep winning, you keep ascending, you'll eventually end up on what's called the world stage. So wherever the international convention is with Toastmasters International every single year, that is where the World Championship of Public Speaking will take place. Once you have won at all those different levels I talked about, club, area, division, district, regionals, I think regionals is still out there, semifinals, and then you get to the world stage. You compete against all the people who did the same thing as you, which is about 9 or 10 people, and they won at all those levels. And then you guys give your speeches, your very best speeches that you come up with. You create yourself, you give that speech, the speech is judged. Whichever speech gets the highest marks based on the judges becomes the world champion of public speaking. As I mentioned previously, that was me in 2018. 2018 was a huge year for women in Toastmasters and for public speaking in general, because in 2018, and history often repeats itself. However, in 2018, it was the first year that 3 women took first, second, and third place in the competition ever. In 2023, I believe this happened. Just recently, this past year, it happened. History repeated itself. And in 2018, it was the first time it ever happened. Myself, Sherry Sue, Anita Faye Taylor, we took 1, 2, 3. So I was first place. Sherry Sue from China was second place. And third place, Anita Faye Taylor from Florida. We made history, or we made herstory, as Lark would say. Lark is one of the previous international presidents, Lark Doley of Toastmasters International, and she was a rock star. And there was a woman president, international president that year. So it was just major girl power. It had never happened before. And then at that time, I was the second African-American woman to ever win the title. The first African-American woman to ever win the title was LaShonda Rundles, who won in 2008. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2012 from lupus, but she set the tone for me. She paved the way for me. I never had the pleasure of meeting her, but I was able to watch her speech and to watch her speak and to hear other people talk about her stories. And that's the reason why I wore what I wore. Actually, make sure you go look at my 2018 World Championship of Public Speaking speech. It is called Still Standing. If you YouTube Ramona J. Smith Still Standing, you will find it. It will pop up. It has millions of views. You will be able to see it. So go check that out. Go check that out. Leave a comment if you like. But I was able to watch LaShonda Rundles and her speech, and that's the reason why I wore my all navy. Was it navy blue or black? I want to say it was navy blue, but it looked black. That's why I wore the suit. She was really my inspiration. And she was the first African-American woman to ever win. I am the second African-American woman to ever win. And the third African-American woman to ever win won in 2023. And that is Jocelyn. And Jocelyn's speech was outstanding as well. She's an amazing athlete. I think she might be a triathlete. I'm not sure. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her in person, but her speech was absolutely amazing as well. All the speeches are original. You get up there, you do your best, you tell your story, you connect with the audience, and it is life-changing. It's life-changing, especially that year with 2018, the first time the three women, and we were all minority women. As I mentioned, I am American, African-American, Sherry Sue is Chinese, and Anita Fain Taylor is also African-American. So that was the first year ever that three minority women won first, second, and third place. And I was the second African-American woman to win the title. And at that time, I was only the fifth woman to ever win the title. Now I believe there are 7 women who've won, but I was the 5th woman. The 6th woman won in 2021. I want to say Verity won. And then Jocelyn Tyson just won in 2023. So we still have some strides to make as far as women in public speaking, but honey, we are getting there. We are getting there. And I was able to be a part of that momentous occasion in 2018, and to see it repeated in 2023, it was absolutely amazing. What was it like when I won is a question that I often get, that I always get. And I'm sharing this information because I get these questions all the time. I'm not just sitting here trying to give you a bio because you can Google all of this stuff. But for the people who are interested in learning how to be a world champion, or you have a passion to one day win the World Championship of Public Speaking, or you're like, what does that even mean? This is for you. What is it like when you win? When I won, I did not expect all of the media. I didn't expect all of the interviews. I didn't expect all the publicity. I wasn't sure of really what to expect, because Toastmasters is a huge organization, but it's a nonprofit organization. And a lot of the world still does not know what Toastmasters is. Once again, it is an organization, a nonprofit organization that helps people become more effective leaders and more effective speakers. So when I won, I was teaching. I was a teacher in Houston, Texas. I was teaching child development and human growth and development in the Aldine Independent School District, and I taught 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. When I won, I went to Chicago. I gave my speech. I won. I got my trophy, and it was great at the convention, and people were coming up to me, and I felt like this big superstar, but I thought that it kind of ended there. It was at the Toastmasters convention. Who's going to know about it? Half the time when I tell people about Toastmasters, they have no idea of what it is. And I just went back to teaching. And, I got a couple of emails when I got back to my classroom and checked my emails, and people were reaching out, and I got a couple of more followers on Facebook. But it wasn't really until one day I was in my classroom and my students were like, Miss Smith, you on the radio, I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm on the radio? Miss Smith, you on the radio, they're talking about you on 97.9 The Box. I'm Wait, what? But, you know, I listen to it's the local radio station. I listen to 97.9 The Box. Okay, that's the radio station. What they talking about me about? They playing your speech, Miss Smith. They playing your speech. Because my students knew I was going to compete, and I brought the trophy back, and I shared my experience with them. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But then my phone started blowing up. And my girl Adriana Thomas, she called me and she said, you on the radio, they want you on 97.9. And then when she said it, because she's in radio, and when she said it, I'm like, all right. Okay, this might be something. So shout out to 97.9 The Box. Shout out to the real Mad Hatter. Shout out to J Mac. Thank y'all so much for showing me love in Houston and for recognizing my speech, and then for bringing me on to 97.9 The Box to share my story. So shout out to Houston, shout out to the real Mad Hatter, shout out to J Mac, shout out to my girl Adriana, and shout out to my students. If any of you ever watch this, Miss Smith has not forgotten about you. I miss you guys. And that was the day where it was like, okay, this might be something. And then from there, the interviews started coming, people wanting me to come on to their shows, people wanting me to come visit their countries, people wanting me to write articles and be a part of projects. It blew up. It became huge. But at the same time, I was saying yes to a lot of things. When people from all over the world started to reach out to me in these countries that I had never heard of, started to say, hey, we want you to come in and speak. I'm like, yes. There's a book by, I believe the author is Shonda Rhimes, called The Year of Yes. Oh, baby, 2018 was my year of yes. Ramona, can you come to Dubai and speak? Yes. Ramona, can you come to Bahrain and speak? Yes. Ramona, can you come to Sri Lanka? Ramona, yes. Can you come to India? Can you come to Kuwait? Yes. And I travel all over the world because public speaking is something that a lot of people fear and something that a lot of people want to get better at. And when you find someone who's really good at it that can help you or that you can learn from, you want that knowledge and you want that energy and you want this person to come show you the tips and tricks and strategies, and you just want to spend time with that person to get the knowledge. So once everything took off for me because of the amazing marketing at Toastmasters International, I mean, they were reaching out to everybody and everybody was reaching out to them. They have the system down. Okay, so big shout out to the public relations and marketing team at Toastmasters, because I was everywhere from Forbes to entrepreneur.com to inc.com, Business Insider. I mean, all over the place. And it kind of just started to snowball from there. But I said yes to everything. You don't have to. You don't have to. If you do not want to do these things, you do not have to say yes. You can take your trophy, go home, and go about your business. But as for me, as I mentioned, I always loved performing arts. I always loved being on stage and speaking. And when I got the opportunity to travel to all these places, I resigned from teaching and I chose to start speaking and traveling full time. And it was absolutely amazing. It was one of the best experiences of my life to go visit all these countries and eat the delicious foods and share these stories and share these moments with people from all over the globe who don't practice the same religion as me and who don't necessarily look like me or speak like me or even think like me, but we have these commonalities when it comes to learning how to be a more effective speaker, when it comes to improving our speaking skills, and when it comes to dreaming bigger when it comes to public speaking. It was just such a phenomenal opportunity, and I'm so grateful for being able to be a part of Toastmasters, to be a part of this contest, to be victorious in this contest, and then to travel the world sharing my knowledge with beautiful people from so many amazing countries. I often get the question, when did you decide to become a public speaker? That was years and years ago when I lived in Los Angeles, California. I wanted to change lives. I wanted to inspire. Of course, initially I moved to LA from Cleveland, Ohio. That is my hometown. I moved from Cleveland, Ohio to Los Angeles, California to model. I wanted to do modeling and I wanted to do acting. But once I got there, it was like, Okay, everybody's here. You know, I was young and naive. I'm like, I'm going to LA. I'm going to follow my dreams. I'm going to dream bigger. Go to LA. And I did. But once I got there, I realized I had this fantasy of Los Angeles in my head based on what I saw on TV and in movies. And when I got there, it just wasn't that. And I kind of shifted my conscience in a new direction. And I started to do poetry, like meaningful poetry. And then I realized that 2 or 3 minutes on stage is just not enough because I have more that I want to say. And I was sharing this information with my sister, and she said, okay, well, you want to be a speaker, you need to go to Toastmasters. You need to go to Toastmasters International. And this is not sponsored or paid for by Toastmasters. Toastmasters International was a significant part of my success as a professional speaker. A lot of professional speakers don't even know what Toastmasters is, but this is my experience that I'm sharing with you. It is not the way, it is a way. It's not the way, it is a way. But I joined Toastmasters, and there is how I went from a public speaker to a professional speaker, not in the sense of being paid at that point, but in the sense of organization, timing, structure, content, body language, gestures. They help me tighten up the package because I had this raw talent. The talent is there. The personality is there. The energy is there. But there are some tweaks. There's some fine tuning. I feel like Toastmasters for me was artist development. Ooh, come on now. I feel my help coming on. I feel my help coming on. Toastmasters for me was artist development. It was artist development. You have this raw talent as a speaker. You're an amazing speaker. We like to hear you speak, but you speak for too long. You say, so using those filler words and crutch words too much. You're all over the place. There's no organization. We can't really follow you. We want to help you to sharpen your saw, to sharpen your skills as a professional speaker. And once I realized that, I have this natural talent for public speaking, but now I can sharpen it. And now that I'm a sharp, natural, authentic speaker with this innate gift to inspire and connect, I want to be a speaker. I want to be a speaker. I want to do it. Once I realized I was good at it and it came easy for me and it was really having an effect on people and I wanted to change lives and transform lives, that's when I said, yes, I want to be a speaker. I want to do this for the rest of my life. I started to dabble here and there and just ask people if they would give me a few minutes to speak. And I would even often just do poems to be able to get stage time. And I love the feeling that I had when I got on stage. And I love the responses of the people who would hear me speak. And they would come and tell me how inspirational I was. I've always been told that I am inspirational. And people, when someone tells you or people tell you the same thing over and over, it has some truth to it. So people have telling me I've been an inspiration for the last 14, 15 years. So I don't think everybody that I've ever spoken for is lying. I don't think everybody is just trying to be kind by telling me the same thing in different cities and states all over the country and all over the world. So I know that I'm inspirational. I know that I have this gift. And that's when I realized 2010, 2011, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's when I knew I wanted to be a public speaker, when the natural talent aligned with the professional development, and it just became this beautiful merging of dreams and reality, and I put them together and it made this great magic. That's when I knew I wanted to be a public speaker. So it was some years ago, and I continue to follow that dream, and I continue to dream bigger. That is why we named this I Dream of Speaking, because even when I'm not speaking, I'm still dreaming bigger as a speaker. I still have many, many dreams that I have yet to accomplish. This is one of them. This podcast is one of those dreams. And I love when dreams become a reality. And even when dreams become reality, we just create more dreams and try to make those a reality as well. So I told you a little bit about Toastmasters, about my experience as the world champion, how to become a world champion, when I decided to become a public speaker. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about what is public speaking. Public speaking is a form of communication that includes the act or skill of delivering a speech in front of a live audience. Public speaking is a form of communication that includes the act or skill of delivering a speech in front of a live audience. That could be anything from a wedding proposal to a prayer to a job interview or even a brief introduction of yourself at a networking event. Many people often think that public speaking means you have to get on the stage in front of 5,000 people and deliver this world life-changing speech. That's not necessarily the case for all of us. You could be in front of one person giving a speech where you are the person doing the majority of the talking and you're delivering this message and you're communicating this message, and you have one live person or animal that is listening. Public speaking it can be simplified, but often it's amplified. And that's why a lot of people have a fear of it. We will talk about that more next week. I'm not going to get into that. Why is communication important? Why is public speaking important? It is important so that if you have this message, the person who's receiving the message receives it exactly the way you intended for them to receive it when you spoke it. Communication is important for the person receiving the message and for the person sending the message. And we'll get into the communication model in the week after next. But it's important because you want people to understand where you're coming from. You want people to understand exactly what you're saying, exactly what you mean, exactly what you're saying, and exactly what you mean when you say it. What's the worst? One of the worst things in the world is miscommunication. You say something and someone took it the wrong way, or you say something and you didn't mean it like that, but they took it like that. That is why communication is so important, and doing it in a way that is intentional and doing it in a way that is professional and organized and structured, where you take your time and you keep the audience in mind, and then you actually get up there and deliver that speech and the audience receives it exactly the way you intended. That's a beautiful thing. That's where the power happens. That's where the change happens. That's where the magic happens. So communication is important because you want people to understand where you're coming from. I like to keep things simple. I'm not a college professor right now. I can speak freely. I can speak relaxed. You want people to understand where you're coming from. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? The answer you want is yes, because if not, you're going to have to figure out how to reframe it and how to speak their language and give it to them in a way that they understand. And it's like, who has the energy for that? Not I, said the cat. So public speaking communication is important because you want people to receive the message exactly how you wanted it to be received. You want them to understand where you're coming from. Public speaking does not have to be difficult. It does not have to be complex. It does not have to be hard. It can be something as simple as a podcast. This is the form of public speaking. It can be a short on Instagram, or actually a reel on Instagram, a short on YouTube. It is just you giving a message in front of a live audience. The reason why we often shy away from public speaking is fear of judgment. Nobody wants to be judged. But as I mentioned, we'll go more into that next week in next week's episode. I want you to know who I am. I want you to have some insight on how to become a better public speaker. I want you to share your dreams with me about public speaking. And for those of us who have achieved some things with public speaking, I want you to continue to dream bigger. Before we close out, we have a cool portion of our podcast, and it is called What That Mouth Do. Yep, that's what it's called. What That Mouth Do. WDMD. What That Mouth Do. As speakers, our most important tool is our voice. It's your money maker. It's your everything. And sometimes we take it for granted, especially as speakers. We're not singers. We're not voiceover actors. Most speakers neglect to properly care for our voices because we take it for granted because we use them every single day. Every single week on the I Dream of Speaking podcast, we're going to discuss one new health tip to keep your mouth and or your voice healthy. It's called What That Mouth Do, or WDMD, if people feel some type of way about it. This week's WMD What That Mouth Do tip is to take vocal naps. Take vocal naps. It is from schoolofrock.com. It says, if you work out, you know how important rest days are. A tired voice, just like a tired body, is more prone to injury. Vocal naps means no talking, no singing, and definitely no whispering, because whispering is terrible for your vocal cords. Now, men folk, husbands, don't start telling your wife, go take a vocal nap. Ramona said, go take a vocal nap. That means no talking, no singing, no nothing. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is for professional speaking voice rest, not for you to have peace and quiet so you can watch your football game and play your video games. Anywho, a tired voice needs time to regenerate. So the longer you rest it, the better. Vocal rest gives your delicate vocal folds time to recuperate and heal. So taking vocal naps is this week's What That Mouth Do tip. We have come to the end of episode 1. It's been fun. It's been great. I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. Thank you all so much for listening. As I mentioned, next week's episode will be all about why most people would rather die than speak in public. It's all about the fear of public speaking. So make sure you meet me right here, same time next week. You do not want to miss it. All about the fear of public speaking and how to overcome it. Be sure you share this video, like this video, comment, subscribe, and send me your What That Mouth Do tips. Send me your tips for a healthy mouth and a healthy voice, especially people who use their voices often with singing, acting, and things like that. We want to make sure we're taking care of our voice and our oral health overall. Make sure you follow me at RamonaJSmith1 on Instagram. Visit my website, RamonaJSmith.com, and stay connected. Once again, I would love to speak to your organizations, your clubs, your groups, your employees, your team members. Just send me an email. I speak at RamonaJSmith.com for booking information. I am not hard to find. Trust me, you can find me on Just ask Mama Google. Hey Google, hey Siri, who is Ramona J. Smith? They will give you a pleasant response. I would love to connect with you all and stay connected. Also, join my Facebook group, Speakers United. That is on Facebook. We meet every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock Central. I would love to have you guys a part of that community as well. Once again, it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. And until next time, let me help you find your voice as we dream bigger, shine brighter, and speak louder. Thank you for tuning in to the I Dream of Speaking podcast, and we will see you next week.
I'm a world champion, baby. I bet I can breathe that.